All right, guys, Trig here. It's Wednesday. It's time for On the Clock. And just a massively frustrating stretch the last couple days. Arizona State it's just what it is in a nutshell, really. Like, they go to the free throw line, down 1, 3 seconds left, need 1 to tie, 2 to probably win. And I would have bet my life, my entire life, that kid was missing both. And that's exactly what happened. And it's just like, like go back to last week when I was on a red hot streak. I knew Rhode Island would hit every foul shot to close out the 5% winner. I had a feeling Seattle would just nail 3 after 3 to backdoor cover for another 5% winner. But last night, I knew there was no chance that Arizona State was going to would hit those free throws to get me out with a 2-2. So instead, 1-3 on the show. But we regroup. We fire again today. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I've only got 2 plays to talk about on the show. One is a 4% top-rated client play, and one is the total of the day. So I'm going to go a little bit longer here. No buzzer. I'm just going to go a little bit longer because I want to give you a thorough breakdown of both. And then for today, as far as the service plays are concerned, I've put all of them up in one package. So right now, I've locked in 2 things. I would say there's a good chance that we add something over the course of the day. But 2 4%ers locked in so far on that package, and you'll probably get something else. So without further ado, let's get right to it. We're going to go to the Big Ten and talk Illinois-Rutgers, a game that I'm going to be at tonight. I'm going to take a ride down to New Jersey, visit my 8-month-old nephew, and go to the Rutgers game at 8:30 p.m. The Jersey Mike's Arena. I'll always call it the Rack. Sell out, and I think so. I want to kind of talk about this Rutgers team, and I'm going to make a statement that's going to sound crazy, and I'm going to try to kind of clarify it with my handicap for this game. So I actually think Rutgers has been a better team and played better as a team since Dylan Harper went out. Now, that's a crazy statement. Dylan Harper's an NBA lottery pick. He's worth a ton to the number. They're definitely not the best version of Rutgers Scarlet Knights basketball or that they can be this year with him out. With that being said, I think it's forced Rutgers to play in a certain way that is more beneficial to them playing the way Steve Pikiell teams have had success over the years. So I've said this a couple times this year so far. I felt like Rutgers' issue was they essentially had to, Pikiell pretty much had to accommodate the 2 superstars, meaning typically Steve Pikiell teams are tough, hard-nosed defensive teams willing to grind it out on the defensive end to try to win games. And what he inherited this year are 2 guys that are probably going to be lottery picks in the NBA. Obviously, both tremendous offensive players, but it's definitely been a less tough, less defensive-oriented team with Harper and Ace Bailey sort of running the show and being the focal point of the team. They've definitely had to trade some offense for defense a little bit, but it hasn't really, it's worked for those 2. Harper and Bailey have put up huge numbers, but the rest of the team has really not picked up the slack. With Harper out, it almost feels like you're watching Rutgers teams from the past couple of years that have been better than, always sort of overachieving as an underdog, have been better than average, right? It feels like you're watching Rutgers teams from the past couple of years, except Ace Bailey's still on the court. He's still a superstar. It's almost like it's been easier to make him the focal point of the offense and have 1 star surrounded by a bunch of role players than 2. It's also allowed Jermichael Davis to emerge as the point guard, which has been absolutely huge. He wasn't getting as much playing time at the beginning of the year, wasn't as big of a part of the offense, but now that Harper's out, it's allowed Davis to play the point and play starters minutes, play the full game. And he's been tremendous. I almost think he's been the missing piece to this Rutgers offense, has been him handling and distributing the ball. So right now, I think it's a great time to sort of buy Rutgers. I'm really kicking myself for not playing them over the weekend. It was one of those games where there's a trillion games on Saturday. You're trying to like trim your card down, and I threw Rutgers out kind of at the last second. And of course, they end up covering. Yeah, I guess they needed a last second shot to cover, but I think it was 6.5 for a while. So they probably cover regardless. Point is, you're still getting the discount. Well, it's not really a discount. In this case, you're getting the extra points on the number for Harper not being in there. And Rutgers, in my opinion, is playing better as a team over the last few games, in spite of him being out. So I took 8.5 with Rutgers. It's down to 7.5. You can actually still probably get 8 minus 115 most places. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. The only non-cover that Rutgers has had in that stretch was that terrible beat if you had Rutgers against Penn State, where Ace Bailey was called for a technical foul after a huge dunk, and then Ace Bailey was called for an intentional foul, which was very questionable. And then Rutgers fouled with 4 seconds left as time was running out to put Penn State at the line where they hit both foul shots to win by 8 and cover 7.5. That is the only game in the last 6 games that Rutgers has not covered the number. I still think with Harper out, they're way undervalued because the market is still making you pay a big tax to fade them because the masses know that Harper's not in there. So I'm willing to go with Rutgers here. I felt like Illinois had a bit of a fraud result over the weekend. They were trailing. I mean, they were down like 10, 11 points in the second half to Ohio State. Ohio State just went completely cold. The last 5-6 minutes of that game, Ohio State, I don't think they made a single shot until maybe right at the end. So that was kind of a deceiving result because Illinois was outplayed for long stretches in that game and still ends up with like a win and cover in a game that they really were not that convincing in. Ohio State just went ice cold. So I like Rutgers here. This is one of my plays today. I took the 8.5. I think it's a great number. It's a sellout. It's going to be a hot crowd. And really, it's like I feel like it's kind of a must win. Rutgers to have any chance at being in the discussion for an at-large, I feel like Rutgers has to win this game. This is one of their chances to knock off a ranked opponent on their home floor. You know that they're going to get sympathy for the time Harper has missed, that they have to win this one. They need to get a couple of big wins to have any chance at an at-large bid tonight. I think they might get theirs. If not, I think they keep it close. Okay, let's go total of the day. Let's head to the Atlantic 10. Let's talk Rhode Island and Fordham down at Rose Thrill tonight in the Bronx. And I got to be, I've watched so much basketball. I watch all levels of basketball. I'll sit there and watch Rutgers play Illinois. I'll sit there and watch Lemoyne play St. Francis. It does not matter to me. Division I college ball, I'm going to check it out. And I don't know that I've seen a team as careless with the ball as Rhode Island, at least the past few weeks. This team is out of control, careless with the basketball. The VCU game is like the glaring example of this. 26 turnovers. Look like they've never seen a press before. But like last week, I had a 5% play on Rhode Island minus 4.5 against UMass, which ended up winning. But it should have won by a lot more. They were up by 21 at one point in that game, and it's just they only turned it up. Crazy to say this, they only turned it over 15 times against UMass. Actually, like a better effort than what they've had recently, but at least 5 of them were like JV high school level turnovers, where like a ball was thrown into the stands because a guy just wasn't paying attention, or like someone dribbled the ball off their foot, like completely like just stuff that should not happen, not only at the Division I level, but at the level of in the Atlantic 10, a pretty good conference, and a team in Rhode Island that's, one of the more, definitely like a respect, like they're not a bottom feeder in this league. Like they had a pretty good non-conference. They've got some decent wins. Like, I would call them an average team in this league. But man, like some of that stuff, it's correctable, but it happens every single game. I think that's going to, so we'll get back to that. the thing I want to point out, the thing I like about this Rhode Island team right now, defensively, now that they're healthy, with David Green and David Fuchs back, they're actually pretty good defensively. They rate out much higher defensively than I would have expected just by watching them. And I think it's because they missed Green and missed Fuchs for like stretches. And now that they've got those two back, they get rebounds. They're kind of like, good rim guy, like guys that can defend the rim. The defense has been much better. So I think you're going to have I think Fordham's going to have a tougher time getting their stuff off here. Like Fordham, they've been better of late, but they don't take great shots. Shot percentage isn't great for Fordham, and they're not going to get second chances here. That's the other thing with Green and Fuchs back. Rhode Island's a pretty formidable rebounding team. And I think they're going to really limit second chance opportunities for Fordham, which is going to make it tough for Fordham to score a bunch of points. Rhode Island going on the road, though, like they can get white hot offensively. Like they will, they've got players, Sebastian Thomas being the one that sticks out the most, but they will go off for stretches in games offensively, but they also have the ability to just have 5 straight possessions where they look clueless. 3 of them are turnovers, couple terrible shots, and like that's how UMass was able to come back. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a stretch like that on the road here. So I like the under 154.5. I just don't see either team being efficient enough to get anywhere near that total. I know that Rhode Island's played in some high scoring games, but like you're going to need serious efficiency, in my opinion, out of both Rhode Island and Fordham to get over that number. I don't see it. I'll call it under 154.5 for total of the day. So yesterday we had 4 picks. Today we've only got 2. Let's go for a 2-0 sweep, 1 client play, total of the day. I'll see you guys tonight at Jersey Mike's Arena, Piscataway, New Jersey. Tomorrow back here for another On the Clock.